All right, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Green Monday, big time green. George, hello, welcome.
I think we might have been off a week, Tom.
Yep. Well, hey, better late than never or early than never. Today was the day. How's
Today
everybody
was the
doing?
day. My goal is 100 BTC equivalent in RRB. I'm happy. I'm sure everybody else is happy.
Well, I know that our members are definitely happy, and I think our subscribers are happy. And if you're tuning in on this stream, you probably had a good day. So congratulations to everybody on an awesome day. We got a bunch of stuff we can go through here today. The board, this is one of those
Wow.
green boards that's just you got to, I'm going to take a picture of this one, screen capture,
I am
and
doing it too. Matter of
we'll,
fact, I'm taking a picture of this because we've been doing a little TikTok thing, right? And people just don't believe you. And the 10K, should we do a guess for it
haha.
first or no?
Yeah, let's have people guess. Well, you can give them a little background as to the evolution. I
The
know some people have
10K,
been following along.
2 years, right? I think I should do an update on it tomorrow. The 10K
Everybody
went down
start.
to $1,600, right?
Yeah. Started at 10K, went in the wrong direction, by the way. Everybody, if you could please smash the like button. We're just getting going on the stream. We're going for 500 likes. We're at 24 right now, 25. Helps the stream in real time, big time. And today was an epic day. George, 10K challenge.
It went to 16. I would like you guys to guess. Very few trades in the
1600,
middle.
about 1600.
1600.
Yeah, we basically, for the most part, just held. We were in half of our positions were in Bitcoin miners. And now, as a function of the change, it's a lot more than that. But we really didn't get a chance to dollar cost average in. We started this right as the crypto winter started. We started it on January of 2022. So obviously, we spent maybe 90 days dollar cost averaging in, which was really the worst 90 days because Bitcoin had its last, run on March 28th was, the peak.
Hoorah.
So that's literally the 90 days we were dollar cost averaging in. The rules were we weren't allowed to put any more money into this thing. So it tanked all the way down to $1,600. We've been watching and waiting for all through the crypto winter. And now, we're on the rise. So we've been checking in every inch. It's been inching up and inching up.
And I'll let you know what's in it. I have we have Cleanspark, Bitfarm, Huts, and Bets. Which Bets went up 11% today, by the way. I couldn't believe that, but wow.
That's the lottery ticket. Bets. And then did we get rid of everything else not Bitcoin? We had small positions in 3 or 4.
I got rid of, there was another thing we had, like Arrow. I think we had Arrow. That was the only other thing. But I'll tell you one thing. Freaking Hut is still down 50%. Is that not insane from when we bought it?
Well, we know that Hut is lagging. Sorry, I got a call. I had to send its voicemails. Hut is lagging for reasons we can get into. We won't get into too much because I think everybody's got Hut exhaustion. But fortunately, we're in Cleanspark and Bitfarms. True.
Yep, we're in Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Hut.
So the two best performers by far. Actually, there have been 3, and we'll go through this and look at everything, but there are 3 Bitcoin mining companies, one in particular. CleanSpark's just outperforming everything, and it's not even close. And I'm not talking about operationally. I think there's a bunch of Bitcoin miners that are doing extremely well operationally, some that are doing okay, some that I'm a little worried about. But from a stock standpoint, CleanSpark is just destroying all other Bitcoin mining stocks. The other 2 that have kind of broken away from the field are RIOT and Bitfarms. So those 3, and I'll show you some charts to support what I'm talking about. Those 3 have just ran away from the field. Particularly CleanSpark is just in the stratosphere. So it helps that, 2 of the ones in the 10K challenge are the 2 top performers. So that worked out in our favor. Of course, not for the first year and a half, it didn't.
No, no. But this, you know what? This is the coolest thing though about Tom is most people would have ran and hid from this. I mean, we didn't hide from it. We talked about it, right? And
We
we
let
kind of,
everybody know at the beginning of
yeah.
2023, it was down to, 16, I think it was like
No, I think that was
$1,680 or something.
22. That was 22. It was down, right?
No,
Or
we started in 2022. We dollar cost
okay.
averaged in for the first 3
Oh,
months. Then by
23. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got
January
you.
of 2023, we were at $1,680, if I'm remembering right. It was plus or minus. It was about that. So, down over 80%. And obviously, the majority. And we held some other. Here's the thing. When you're trying to grow an account like that in a challenge type of a situation, you take higher risks, which we did. And we were in a lot of small cap, high growth stocks. Well, for those of you who've been following along, which is most of you, it's not just the Bitcoin miners. Everything risk on, everything small cap, high growth had 2022 was an absolute disaster nightmare for those stocks. So it wasn't just the Bitcoin miners that got beat up. So, the whole thing was brutal, but you'll see
Same.
we're back on the right path, I would say. Let's just say that, and then we'll.
But I think if you guys are still here, you need to all pat yourself on the back because this has been brutal.
Yeah.
This has been absolutely brutal. And I'm less than 50,000.
All right, welcome to Talkin
$50,000 away from a major, major, major goal.
Nice.
Major goal. And that's like, wow.
Sour Melon.
Hey, thanks, Sour Melon.
Sour Melon
Go ahead,
left. Yes, sure. Member for 12 months. So first of all, thank you for being a member for a year. Sour Melon Gaming said, blessed to have found George and Tom. 12 months a member, 20 months total with these guys. And now I cannot imagine my life without them. Love you guys. Thanks, Sour Melon Gaming. We love you too. And all of the members. And I know a lot of our members have some phenomenal success stories. Sour Melon Gaming has shared in the past. I'll let you if you want to share some more, but I know it's been a wild ride and an unbelievable journey for a lot of you guys, and us too. I mean, this is highly volatile stuff, and I'm going to show you what I find a very funny article that goes right to this later on.
I just was going to say, I remember everything. And I just remember some of the comments, Sour Melon, during the last year and a half, 2 years, I guess now. It's definitely been interesting. But so, Tom, let's talk about where you think Bitcoin's headed.
Well, we'll go to the 1-day chart. I think I am optimistic. I'm very optimistic. I'm going to before I go to the 1-day and let's talk about that, I'm just going to ask everybody, we're at 65 likes. If you guys could please smash the like button. It helps the stream out in real time, big time. We had a good day with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. Let's get some people on here, talk about it, share some success stories, and let me switch screens so that we can get the chart up. All right. Now we're back in business. So the first thing is I'm just going to go through a few highlights, and then we'll talk about the 1-day. And then, George, I'll talk about where I think we're going, and you can let me know where you think we're going. And you may already have a poll up. You got a poll up? Oh, okay.
Well, yeah,
first, we're seeing where the 10K challenge is.
All right, and then any minute now.
So after that, we'll see where everybody else thinks Bitcoin goes next. But a couple of standouts today. Marathon, largest by market cap by far. Marathon was up almost 22% today. Riot was up 17%. Cleanspark was up just under 24% today. Bitfarms 19%. I mean, these are staggering numbers. TerraWolf was up 15%. BitDeer, which has a mind of its own. I don't even pretend to understand what goes on with BitDeer and the price action, but it had a great day. Up 23.6%. Second to only Cleanspark. But almost every single Bitcoin miner was up double digits. It looks like Core Scientific was up 6.37%. and Stronghold was up 7.76%. So those were, the big laggers on the day, and they were still up 6 or 7%. But to be fair, to put it in perspective, Bitcoin, so this yellow line is where Bitcoin was when the US equity markets closed on Friday. So we always compare from the close to the close. So Bitcoin from then until I'll go to the market close and then until now, Bitcoin was up 6.6% during trading today. And then, now we're up almost 7% from where we closed last Friday, which is just, one trading day for the Bitcoin miners. Today was the only trading day. Obviously, we had all weekend. And really, this weekend, if you look, it was just a lot of sideways consolidation, right? We stayed under. We have this purple line at 51,981. That held as resistance. We did not get over that one time all weekend long. Then, sure enough, we just were off to the races. And it started before the market opened, and then it just accelerated to the up pretty much all day long. Even when we were going sideways, it was trending with an upward bias. We're trending upward right now. We're at 54,600 and change right now as we speak. This is staggering. So if I go to the 1-day time frame, I'll zoom out just a little. You'll see this purple line this was basically my last line. So I'm going to just do this, and 64,953. So we kind of had a double top the last time around. So this goes back, I think, to April of 2021 when Bitcoin ran up and peaked. Then we had a big pullback all the way down to 29,000. And then finally in November, Bitcoin peaked at $69,000. So you can see I do not have another line between here and there. And I want to go backwards in time a little bit and show you I think it's reasonable that there's not lines between here. And I want to show you how fast we got from 69 down to 54. There's just no support or resistance in the middle. We're going to look at the Fibonacci numbers real quick. There's one more number left that I think is not too important. That's just one thing for those of you who don't care about the Fibonacci numbers or any of the other, technical analysis. I get it. I understand. So, you got to take each one thing with a grain of salt for sure. So let's look. Let me zoom. I'm going to go to I'm going to do it on the 1 day, not the 1 week. So I'm going to have to manually go back in time. So to go back to the Bitcoin's all-time high, this was, November 10th, 2021. So right now, you can see we're right here. So this is December 3rd. That's 3 weeks. It took 3 weeks for Bitcoin to get from from its top to where it is right now. So with really no natural lines, significant lines in the middle. So I don't think there's a lot of resistance here. Now, you could argue that we're overbought, there's a lot of things that technically say maybe we're due for a pullback. But the other side of this is, when the RSI gets up to where it is right now, and it's back up to, looks like we're at about 76 or 77, and it got up over 80. It can hang out up here. This is where big runs can happen and often do happen. So you'll see we only have to look back to just October of 2023, not too long ago. We crossed above 70 on October 19th, and we stayed there until November 13th. And in the middle, this run, from here to here, this was a 40% run to the upside, all while we were in what is considered overbought territory on the RSI. So it doesn't mean automatically when this happens that Bitcoin is going to go down from here. We can have, and I expect to have a run. So the answer, George, is I'm going to be overly exuberant. I think we're going to go to from here to the all-time high before the halving.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, nice.
So none of us can tell you the exact journey on a day by day basis. I don't know. We always say things don't move in a straight line. And, if I just zoom in a little for this goes back to, January 23rd. I mean, this is only 1 month ago. So from 1 month ago, we had this 21% pullback. So there you go. These can happen, but look how fast this happened. This was, less than 2 weeks. We had about a 21% pullback, and then immediately, I mean, this reversed on a dime, and now all of a sudden we're up over 40% from that bottom. But even from this peak, remember, this was our first time across this green line, which goes back a couple of years. We finally candle wicked above this line for just one 1 hour candle. So this was for a brief moment in time. But even from there, if we measure from that flash upward, we're up 11% from there. We're comfortably above this line. I mean, we took this and this was some nice consolidation. I did a video this morning. You could check that out. And I talked about how, we're having some sideways consolidation. And on Friday on the live stream, we talked about this. We said, my thing, and I say I never wish that we're going to go down, but Friday, it seemed like the momentum was a little bit downward. We actually drew this yellow line on Friday. And, we said, we're testing this line. If this line can hold and we can head sideways and reset some of the technicals over the weekend, maybe that gave us Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I even thought, well, maybe Monday or Tuesday will be a little sideways, and then maybe we can start to run up. Well, it happened even faster than that. We reset ourselves, and, now at the moment, we appear to be off to the races. We're at 54,600. To put it in perspective, our highest close in the last 2 years is right here on last Tuesday, and that was 52,277. We're over $2,000 above our highest close in the last 2 years. So that's an official breakout, right? That's not, we're not dabbling. We're not waiting to see, it's going to be a photo finish. Can we close a daily candle above at a new high? No, we're thousands of dollars above the previous high on a daily candle. So all that's got me optimistic. All that, I imagine, is why a lot of you guys are here. And not to mention, the other piece of this puzzle is the Bitcoin miners went along for the ride today. On a day where Bitcoin was up 6 or 7%, the miners, for the most part, did what they were supposed to do. Up 21%, 17%, 24%, 19%. So that's what we like to see. That's what we've been waiting for. And I think there's more where that came from. But I do think that we should look at some of these charts in specific, because not all of these stocks are behaving the same way. Even though everybody had a great green day today, there's drastic differences between the performance of these stocks so far year to date this year. So I think that's worth looking at from two sides of the equation. Are there some opportunities? Are there some good companies that are lagging that, maybe we can jump into? And, I don't do a lot of jumping around, but when things run up like this, some of my positions are getting too oversized. And it's not because, I just put a lot more money into them. It's, for instance, CleanSpark. I've got accounts where my CleanSpark are up, almost 500%. That's, when other stocks are only up 150% or only 150, which is, phenomenal. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a bunch of other stocks that are not Bitcoin mining stocks that, aren't performing anything like this, some of which are in the red. So like most of us, we have different things in our portfolio performing, some of them I'm waiting for. I have positions I'm building out that I might have to wait a year or two for. Particularly, it seems like the Russell is lagging. A lot of what I'm looking at are Russell type stocks, in addition to the fact that I'm in a leveraged ETF on the Russell itself, because I do think over the next 2 years, that's going to be the best performer out of all the indexes by far. At the moment, it's the worst by far. We'll take a look at that too. We're at 99 likes.
So the update on the 10K challenge is 8.5K.
Oh, isn't that what
$8,500.
everybody
Yes.
guessed?
Yes, it was. I thought that was awesome that everybody guessed it. Yeah.
61% guessed
Yes, yeah.
correctly. Nicely done, everybody. So,
And that's interesting, Tom. So that means probably by next month, it should be, well, actually, probably next week. That means if you would have bought in CleanSpark, not HUD, or Bitfarms, you'd be in the money. And we didn't dollar cost average. That's just from dollar for dollar. I think we might have bought some more CleanSpark when it got super low.
if we bought
Just,
nothing after March of 2021
okay.
until a year later, you bought some bits.
Some bits. Okay.
Some bits, right? We got rid of like Arrow
Right.
and maybe one other
Now,
thing.
so what's
We had
going
a
to be
couple of
interesting though
losers in there.
is,
That's just the way it was.
so Tom, let's say everything keeps going the way it is. What do you think it'll be at the end of this year? Do you think we'll be around 15, 16?
The 10K?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I
double
mean,
from here?
yeah, and we may need to start making a few little, moves inside of there and doing a little reallocating, but yeah, depending on how Bitcoin does, Bitcoin's still at 54,000. Is Bitcoin going to double? Well, it doesn't necessarily need to double because, we're in the Bitcoin miners, which, if you're in the right ones by, our theory is that should outperform Bitcoin. So, yeah, I mean, we should certainly, I think setting a goal of 12,500 by the end of the year would be a win. I think we could beat that. And that's putting no extra money in. So, we're really hampered. I just need to send my other son a text. He's trying to get a hold of me. He doesn't know on a live stream.
Yeah, what do you think's going to be next? All-time high or 20K subs? I'm going with 20K subs. I think eventually people have to start realizing you can make money by watching educational stuff on YouTube.
Hint, hint, hint. 24,726.
Oh, it's just raging.
I just told him. Sorry, I'm having a side conversation. My son needed a question answered.
Rage. So, Tom, do you think it's somebody wrote in there a long time ago? Do you think it's too late to get into CleanSpark now? I mean, I know you weren't gonna dollar cost average into it because you felt that it was too high.
Right. I'm if you're our if you're a dollar cost average person, then, to me, let's put it this way, it's nowhere near my personal price target. So I think there's a lot of upside left. Now, for me, there is no way I'm buying into this stock based on how much I bought and the price that I bought it. So I will ride it out from here and take profits at some point. But if you're dollar cost averaging, I think that CleanSpark is one of the big winners in this space. I think there's a lot more room to the upside for the companies that are going to win. So it definitely depends on what your strategy is. If you're a short-term swing trader, maybe maybe CleanSpark is not, the first place to try to catch the next. Having said that, a lot of times it's the stocks with momentum that keep running. So, I think you got to just balance those two things. It is more risk. When you look at the charts, we'll look at the charts next. CleanSpark has run so far beyond what everything else has done. And again, it's not at my price target at all. So, I think there's a lot more room ahead. But as a percentage, are others going to do a lot better from this moment in time forward? I think that's entirely possible. Scott
Well,
Richardson, thanks for the super chat. I made a second prediction last week, Bitcoin to 53,000. Boom, you're 2 for 2 then because we took that out. We're pushing 55,000 on Bitcoin today, which, George, by the way, is the target you and I have been talking about for a month and a half, or maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
well, they definitely suppressed it for a couple weeks. They definitely did. I don't see how they can stop it now. I mean, now it seems like the train has left the building.
Well, it certainly feels that way. I I believe that's true. All
Well,
right.
it's the 83%. If those guys start, well, why would they sell now? They've held it through 69. You know, why would they sell it now at at 54, 55,000?
Right. At this point, right. I mean, at this point, you got to believe everybody's eyeballing, how soon everybody that holds Bitcoin's got to be thinking, we're on the way to a new all-time high. And whether they think that's, before the halving, which is not very long from now, or, sometime in 2024. Now, there will always be some people that take profits along the way. So that doesn't mean nobody's ever selling a Bitcoin ever again. But I agree with you, George. I mean, what if you've held on for all this time, what possible reason do you have to bail out now? And we know that
No.
a lot of these
I think
wallets.
everybody's waiting for the six figures. I mean, talk about, people got this at 50 cents, $1, $5, $10. I mean, these guys, they get probably wood in their pants because if they're a guy, because they want to see that return. I mean, that is like, it's already the best return ever made, right? But can you imagine getting it at, at that, and you had the ability to believe in it?
I mean, if you've been holding on since $10 or $100 or even $1,000, I mean that is willpower beyond belief.
So in 2014, it went from like $850 back down to $500, and that spooked a lot of people. I think it was 2014, and that was like, oh well, maybe I'll get rid of my 20 Bitcoin. At least I'll get something out of it.
I mean, not too long before the previous halving, Bitcoin got down under $4,000. I'm going to go look at that. It's now that was, we had our little global scenario unfold there. So there was a big pullback, but
And what do you think is, Tom? What would you give me if you were gonna buy a Bitcoin miner right now? Which one do you think has the best chance to make a better run? By the way, during the stream on Friday, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but I like quadrupled my holdings in Bitfarms, just so you guys know. I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put a lot of money in. I put a lot of money in there.
well, that was a good move because Bitfarms had basically almost a 20% move up. You're one day into that trade and it's up 20%. So
I know. Why can't it
that's
always be like that? I mean, when I say, guys, I put a big, I mean, I'm talking insane. You guys were all picking on me on Friday, and I was buying Bitfarms, and I bought it at $3. I bought like a ton of it at $3. And somebody woke me up to that. I don't know who that was. They're like, Bitfarms is $3. I'm like, what is it doing at $3? And I went and just backed the freaking dump truck up.
Well, I think it's found good support at $3, and obviously now it's run up to $3.60 at the moment. And these things are going to fluctuate. That's the other thing we need to always remind people, right? This is volatile stuff. It's going to have its ups and downs, but you can see, inside of the ups and downs of volatility, we are clearly trending upward in a big way. Just to round out this point, in March of 2020, and the last halving was in May of 2020, Bitcoin was at $3,858. So, if you jumped in on that pullback, you're anybody that bought in this area, it went from around 10,000 to under 4,000 and then kind of back up to 10,000. And then obviously it ran almost up to 70,000. So, from 4,000 to 70,000 in not too much more than a year and a half. So, and just a little over a year from 4,000 to 64,000. So that's the kind of action we got in the last halving. And that was kind of, less than the previous halvings. So the price action on these, I know everybody is convinced that this halving is going to be much, much, much less volatile. But the only thing I can say is, Bitcoin, I fell into the trap of thinking, well, the volatility's gone. We're not going to have a crypto winter. And we had a crypto winter, full blown crypto winter in some measures it was worse than the previous crypto winters. So in other measures it was very similar. So I think there's a lot of upside. I don't know, who knows where we go in this next, halving is less than 2 months from now. So, we're about a month and 3/4 away from the halving, and then sometime at some point, I mean, I'm still saying, to me, I'm saying somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000. That is my price target, not financial advice. Nobody come back to me and say, how come Bitcoin didn't get to $200,000 if it doesn't? Because the reason is because I don't know the future. But if I just look at everything that's going on, my best guesstimation is that, I think that's where we're headed in this run. And, I could get fooled again, but I do think we will have less downside in the next crypto winter, or what I think crypto winters are going to turn more into bear markets, and they'll be more vicious than the bear markets in the equity markets. 20 or 30% pullbacks, a big deal in the equities. You may be looking at 40 or 50% pullbacks for Bitcoin, but that's going to be a lot more palatable. If Bitcoin gets to 200,000, I don't think people are going to lose their minds if it pulls back to 100, before it runs up, to wherever it goes next. And I do think, it long run, this all still has really pretty much only just begun. What is this? A 15-year-old, not even a 15-year-old asset. So this is very, very new.
I took 2 weeks to get back to what we were making, at least for me, to get back to those numbers I like to see, Tom. The six
in
figures,
one day.
maybe?
Not every day can be a 6-figure day.
Yeah.
Some days will be better than others. But you know what? If you can have it, and again, whatever you guys are doing, whether you're having 3 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures, everybody's in a different financial situation. Everybody's at a different point in their life, their investing career, etc. So,
well, Tom, I count the decimals, just so you know.
Yeah, I count 4
and
decimals
I go 3 out. I go 3 out.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. I mean, just so you know,
that's fair.
You can trade stock 0.000, so why not?
That's right.
So, Tom, are you gonna DCA into anything right now, or are you just gonna, with these Bitcoin miners? Are you just gonna pop a beer and watch the ride?
Last week, if memory serves me correctly, I don't think I bought anything, and so it depends. If this is going to keep running up and we don't have any kind of rest, even at this point, these sideways movements, I have filled out the majority of my positions. So everybody's not necessarily in the same boat. So I see a lot of Bitcoin miners that I think have huge opportunities. I saw somebody mention earlier, I'll just tell you one. I think Iris Energy has a lot of room to run. In fact, I'm going to go to that chart.
Even though they have a stupid name change?
Sorry. It's not Iris Energy. Iron.
Right.
Iron.
Maybe it's supposed to be Iran. I ran so far away.
Iran was at almost $10 back in December. So, it's at $6.91. From where it is, closed today, that's, almost 40% just to get back to where it was in December. And, they had, I'm going to go to this because I got it open here somewhere.
Iran.
Give me just 1 second because they put out a press release today. Okay, Iron provides 20 exahash expansion update. So 20 exahash, okay, the 20 exahash is a little bit ahead of themselves, but first of all, let me get to Clive. Clive, thank you very much for the super chat. Clive said, simplified Bitcoin historical cycle: crawl, momentum, boom, crash. we are now in the momentum phase. So 2024, Tom, your thoughts? So I agree. I mean, I think we're in the momentum. Everybody talks about winter, spring, summer, fall. We all know what a crypto winter is. I hear people talking about how we're in the crypto fall already. Well, somebody must have skipped past. Clearly, I think we had our crypto spring. That was 2023, where, we had close to a 200% move to the upside in about a 15-month window. I think that was the crypto spring. All right. So are we moving into the summer? I think yes, we've got another big move to the upside, and then historically kind of a blow off top after that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room left in 2024, a lot of room left again in 2025. Is it going to go on forever? No, I definitely do think, like we've always talked about, you got to have an exit strategy. You can't just hope that Bitcoin's just going to go up and up and up forever. There will be, nothing does that. Whether you're in the equities or whatever else you're in, there's bull markets, there's bear markets. So cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in specific has had a pretty particular 4-year cycle. I think there's some reasons that, that's going to line up to a certain extent. The rate cuts seem to be getting delayed. We'll take a look at that. So that's coming a little later. But you know what? Bitcoin's off to the races without these rate cuts. The market has basically all but given up on rate cuts for the next several months, and Bitcoin is still off and running. So in my mind, that's just instead of all those coinciding simultaneously, that's going to be another catalyst because these will come. The rate cuts are coming, in my very strong opinion. Time will tell, but I just can't see a scenario in this world where we get out of 2024 without 3 would be extremely low, and that would be, 325 basis point rate cuts. I think we're still going to get 5 in 2024 and then more in 2025. We are going to move out of this cycle. They got to lower rates, and they got to do it. They're dragging their feet, and they think they have a little room to breathe. I disagree. We'll see what happens. But those are big catalysts. Those are big catalysts for Bitcoin. Those are big catalysts for the Bitcoin miners, even more so. That will put a dent a little bit in the DXY, which has been so ridiculously strong, which is basically the US dollar versus foreign currencies. So there's a lot of other catalysts coming, in addition to the fact that we're, a month and 3/4 away from the Bitcoin halving. As well as all these Bitcoin ETFs are just getting started. So they're trying to spook us and scare us, but I got some articles that I want to get to all the stuff that I pulled up. Sometimes we get through these streams and we never get to the stuff that I had kind of prepped for. So we will get to that stuff. But thanks again, Clive, for the super chat. Much appreciated. If you are new here, if you have not yet subscribed, we're getting very, very close to 20,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy, if you're interested in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, if you like listening to myself and George or one or the other, consider subscribing. We would love to get to 20,000 subscribers. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it does help the live stream out in real time in a big way. So this has been a great day for Bitcoin and an even better day for the Bitcoin miners.
In December, no, it was November, the first week of November. If you guys were watching the channel, I told you I was moving a lot of money into crypto. And wow.
Yeah,
just wow.
You pretty much filled out your positions.
Oh my goodness, just wow. I mean, it's just been insane. But it took you got to earn it, because I mean, the first 3 weeks I was pissed. Because I thought it was going to run quicker. You know how you put money into something, you expect it to go right up. You're like, I'm the smartest man in the world, and I realize I'm the dumbest man in the world. Trust me, these guys will tell you that. But if you
days
sit there,
seem like weeks in cryptocurrency. On top of that,
and I just didn't do. So normally what I do is I go all the way in, but you know what? I DCA'd.
Oh, Phonebook-san, thank you very much for the $50 super chat. Phonebook-san, I'm up 25% just today in my account. Hasn't been here since early 2022, so that's a 2-year high. I know I'm not alone. Let's get some super chats in. Thank you, Phonebook-san, and congratulations. So let us know, are your accounts, so that's a 2-year high. and I do have one of my accounts that's crypto heavy that's in a very similar situation that is took out a 2-year high. It's not back to its all-time high, but that's been some dramatic. I have different accounts that do different things, and I have some that are, obviously crypto heavy, Bitcoin miner heavy. So those are hitting all-time highs. So thanks for congratulations on that, and thanks for sharing with the group and with the members, and we appreciate it. We're a small channel, so super chats do help us. So I really do appreciate that.
So Tom, what percentage of your portfolio is in crypto or Bitcoin miners?
It's much more. I would have to do the math. It's much more than 50% at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much more than 50%. It wasn't. I didn't. From a dollars invested standpoint, it's not. But from value rate now, it's way over 50. It's over. I'm sure it's over 60% at this point.
So do you are you going to readjust that, or are you just going to let it ride?
I'm letting this ride, and I will tell you the one thing. So you know what? There was one thing I didn't mention that I do continue to buy. So, and not too many people are buying this. There's a Bitcoin futures, BITX, BitX. So BitO is the 1x leverage for Bitcoin. No, that now has kind of been superseded. It's kind of obsolete. It's the futures Bitcoin ETF that's existed for a long time. Now we have all the spot ETFs. So I do support and recommend, if you're going to be in an ETF, better for all of us that you're in the spot ETF, so that, Bitcoin has to be used versus the futures ETFs where they don't need to own any Bitcoin. But there's BitX is a 2x leverage on Bitcoin. And I've been building out a position in that, and I will continue to do so. So I'm just going to dollar cost average in that as we go. It's, obviously now at this point, I'm dollar cost averaging up in that one, but I don't think Bitcoin's anywhere near its high for this cycle. And that is a 2x leverage. Now, remember, with a 2x leverage, if Bitcoin goes down, I get punished to the downside. But for me, on those days that it does, that's usually when I do my dollar cost averaging. So that one I will keep going with. A lot of these other ones, I have filled out positions. There's a few Bitcoin miners. I hate to name names, but, I talked about Iris Energy. I'm keeping my eye on Hive. I think Hive's doing some good things behind the scenes, but I need to see more. So I'm not in a gigantic rush to go open a new position. I really feel like I've spent several years, we're 4 years into this, for me anyway, building out positions. So, it's not like I'm going to switch gears tomorrow, but I think there's a lot of room left. So, if you're not 4 years in, if you're 3 months in or 6 months in, or you're brand new here, I think you got to look at it like, where do you think Bitcoin's going? If you think Bitcoin's going, we're at 54, just under 55,000. If you think we're going to 100, that's almost a double. If you think we're going to 150, that's almost a triple. If you think we're going beyond that, whatever you think, if you think there's room to run, I still think, we're in, we're not in the first inning by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we have an awful lot of room left to the upside. But there is, I always harp on the fact there's massive volatility in these things. So if you're not somebody that can deal with volatility, if you don't like volatility, if you're prone to, lose sleep at night over your investments, this is high volatility stuff. So just be prepared for the good days and the bad. Like, today's a great day. So we're all here. And just so that you guys know, if there's ever a bad day, George and I are usually here on those as well, because I think it's just as important, if not more important, to get together and, talk about things on a bad day, because a lot of people can very quickly start to panic in cryptocurrency. So, we try and run both sides of this thing. But glad today's a good day. So
My problem is I'm getting to the point where I didn't want to be in the market anymore, and I don't know if I'm going to pull out or not because I know it's still going to keep going. But there's always, you know how you set goals and you don't think you're ever going to achieve them, but when you do, you're like, what do I do? You know what I mean?
Well,
I
if
didn't
that's,
expect to get here so fast.
I think that's an important thing to talk about, though. So, what is your plan? Sometimes, so if your plan was a certain number and you've
Yeah.
reached that number, maybe you've reached your plan. For other people, it may be a time frame. They may say, I'm going to ride it out through what I think is the end of the crypto summer into whatever the case may be. So there's nothing, and always, please, everybody, there's have your own plan, and there's never anything wrong with taking profits. I know a lot of people take profits and then things go up and they go, I blew it. No, you didn't. You made money. Always remember, if you made money, you didn't lose. Letitia Douglas,
Oh,
thank you very much for the super chat. Let me just get this and then you can go, George. Hello, you said there are no women here, but I've been a member for a couple of months now. Thanks to Clive. I'm all in with options. Love it here. Letitia, thank you so much for being a member. We are always glad to have men, women, young, old, everybody. Our stats showed us. I appreciate you being here. We only kind of jokingly say that because for a long time, our YouTube statistics showed us that we had 0% women in our audience, which was, I, I can't, it's almost hard to believe by accident you would think you'd have somebody, but I appreciate you being here and especially appreciate a super chat. Thanks so much. And I hope that you've been getting your value and making money. That's what we're all here for.
so there's a good question. Remember how
All
you
right.
got out, somebody got out last time and they sold call options, right?
Yes,
Out of the money call options?
exactly. Yes.
So like if like for an example, CleanSpark at $20, I could sell like a $30 out of the money in 4 weeks. Take
Right. And
that money.
so you'll have to see, right? I'm not sure what the value of that would be. And you want to be careful when you're in it. So my 2 cents would be if you're going to do a call option, if you're going to sell a covered call, which is what you're talking about, you own the stock. Somebody that was a part of their exit strategy. They said rather than sell it today, I'm going to sell a covered call. If it was at $20 and they sold that for $2, that's 10% extra they earned. And then at at $20, they, you lose your stock. You don't lose it. It's sold. So you get the $20 for your stock, you get the $2 on the covered call, and you make some extra money on the way out the door. The only thing I would say is make sure you're getting paid a premium for that. If it's a 1 or 2% premium, it's not worth losing your shares over. But if you're going to get rid of it anyway, the one risk that you have in that is if the stock goes down, more than the premium you got,
I
then
mean,
there
I
is risk to the downside. You still hold
yeah,
the
I could
stock.
care less though at that, you know what I mean?
Right. Then you just hold and wait for the next one. So,
So
yes,
it's at 20. So like if you sold 25s is only paying 45 cents.
right. That's not a lot of premium
So
on a
22
$20
is paying
stock.
a dollar. I don't know if that's even worth it. It went up 280% today.
What time frame
Clean
is that on?
Clean Spark. It's on the that's the this week, March 1st.
Yeah.
It
So,
went
I
from
mean, that's only got 4 trading days left. So, you're not going to get a lot of premium for that. But if you're looking to get out anyway,
so I would do like $30. I don't even know because $30 end of this month, end of March, it's only paying a dollar 35.
$30, but that is significantly out of the money. So those are the types of things where maybe you want to say, listen, if this thing was running up to $30, I'm going to sell it anyway. Plus, I'll get
Right.
that premium. So those are the kind of thought process. I want to take a minute and say thank you to Michael. Thank you very much. Michael, who is a member, said, thank you guys. I appreciate all the insight. You're welcome. And thank you, Michael, so much for the super chat and for being a member. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, Riot would have done a lot better today if they didn't sell a lot of shares at like 330.
All right. I think people are frustrated with Riot. We know some of the reasons that they're frustrated. I did spend a lot of time on the last live stream. I almost feel like I was beating up Riot, and it's actually one of my big positions. So I am still, I don't know if optimistic is the right word. I still think that the problems that Riot has are problems they can fix. Every company goes through
Whoa.
what's happening.
No, Edmonds told me to look at the $30 in June. They're paying freaking $4.
Oh, see? Yeah, if you go out, you can make some a lot higher percent, but that's a
The
lot more
chances
time,
get right. $4. Oh, holy smokes!
and you can't sell
That's
your
like selling
stock in
them
the
for
middle.
right. That's like selling your stock right now for $24.
If Right, but you're kind of holding the stock because
Yeah.
if they go up and you sell the stock, you got to buy those back.
Right.
So
It's
there's
called a whammy, Tom.
yes,
Double
yeah,
whammy would
you are
be what you just
familiar
said.
with the whammy.
Whammy. No
No
whammies. No
whammies, no,
whammy.
that's right.
Sorry.
I think at
Sorry,
least
dude.
half of
That's
our
just
audience is old enough to get that reference.
no. It's still out. They have like a Friday night show.
Are you kidding
Everybody
me?
loves whammy. No, yeah, it came back.
Well, see, I did not know that.
Yeah, who has TV nowadays, anyways? Sorry.
Riot is still
Sorry.
worth dollar cost averaging if they get their hosting contracts behind them, said David. So that is one of the things we talked about. A couple of things. They've got these hosting contracts that, are not so great, we'll just say. And I think their efficiency level seems to be lagging behind their peers. So a couple of things, but to me, I do feel like those are things that they can fix. I think their balance sheet is, tied for the strongest balance sheet in the entire industry, if not the strongest balance sheet. And their infrastructure, they're out ahead of everybody else in infrastructure by far. So I know their Bitcoin production leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. So I understand that piece of the puzzle. But conversely, I do think there's other things going well for them. So we'll see. Time will tell.
It's only just begun. Sorry, not
So
again.
if we look at Riot, they're getting close to their December number. Everybody
So
had
do you think Riot's gonna take off at some point in time and overtake CleanSpark, or do you think pretty much CleanSpark's in its good second position?
I'm absolutely stunned how CleanSpark has it was only a week and a half ago we were saying, at some point is CleanSpark going to pass Riot, and they've already left them in the dust. So I do think the gap will close, in my opinion. And again, Riot, my three largest positions, in case, those of you who are new here, I always share CleanSpark, Bitfarms, and Riot are my three largest positions. I do have some positions, Marathon is next after that, but it's a medium-sized position. And then Iris. And, I've been in and out of a lot of these stocks over time, but particularly those three, I've been holding for really years at this point. So, and they have not all behaved the same, right? I mean, whereas CleanSpark's very nearly back to where it was in 2021, Riot is nowhere near, and Marathon is even much further away. This is a comparison that really aggravates a lot of people. But
You know what?
what?
Somebody was talking about, is it a good time to still buy miners? I think that shows you, just looking at the options on CleanSpark, to knowing that what they're paying is that they know they're going to lose. They know it's going to be there. That's usually what happens. Do you disagree with that statement?
The higher the
Right.
premium represents two things: the more volatility they expect out of the stock, and yes, you're right. They expect there's a good probability that it could reach that number or beyond. So, You know, if they're going to take that bet, if you will, they need to get paid for it because somebody's, you know, for everybody that's buying an option, somebody's out there selling one. Take this
My
opportunity to
phone's
just say
dead.
if everybody could smash the like button. We're at 172 likes, so much appreciated. We go for 500 likes ultimately on these live streams. And thank you everybody for the likes on the videos. We've been going for 700 likes on these videos, and we're at like 7 or 8 in a row where we've gotten there. It's made a huge difference for the channel. We are a very small channel, so all of your support and not commitment, that's not the right word, but your dedication to the channel is appreciated. So let me just go to a couple of the things that I wanted to show
Riot,
everybody.
how they're saying Riot's getting beat up after hours.
Really? Because I mean, Bitcoin is on fire. We're at 54,756. Are things going down after hours? Let's just take a quick look at a couple of things.
But just Riot.
Just
Riot's
Riot?
down 3% after hours.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no news. So this is the other thing, as I always say, after hours. I don't trade after hours. You know, if you're day trading and you're getting in and out and making some money after hours, then, you know, that's one thing. And, you know, that can be a good thing. After hours oftentimes has very little, if not nothing, to do with what's going to happen when the market opens the next day. So whether it's after hours tonight or in pre-market, sometimes it's like a flip switching. You could watch pre-market, you know, 1 minute before the market opens, you'll see all the Bitcoin miners doing one thing. 5 minutes in, they're all doing something completely drastically different. So always be careful on, you know, trading at these much lower volume times before the big money gets in and does whatever it is they got planned, you know, for that day.
I
We're
take
over
that bet.
54,800 right now, by the way. We are pushing 55,000. It's
That's like free
incredible.
money right there, I think, by the way.
What one? Riot down?
Yeah, they're just giving you 3%. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
I
not
don't know.
financial advice.
Let's just check out what a couple other things are doing after hours. So Marathon's up a little. I would think some of these, although when on these gigantic up days, it's even harder, you know. Let's see what the unstoppable force. Let's see what CleanSpark's doing after hours. So settled down quite a bit. Not a lot of action after hours based on Bitcoin still doing very well. So we'll see. Tomorrow's another day. Again, I don't give any credence to this. This is not an indication of what's going to happen tomorrow. And there's so many times. How many times, George, you know, 10, 15 minutes before the market opens, we see all the miners up 12%, 15%. We're like, boom, here we go. Today's going to be a winner. And then
Only 2 times.
boom, 2 times
Did you
this
hear me?
year.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's an hour later and we're calling each other, oh boy, went the other way. Here we go again. So, and that speaks to the volatility. So we always talk about that. If you watch my videos, I know people feel like I talk too much about that, but it's one of the core, most important things people need to understand that are investing. And there's a lot of people that are just new to the Bitcoin miners, which are even more volatile than Bitcoin. They just are. Bitcoin's extremely volatile, and the Bitcoin miners in general tend to be. For instance, CleanSpark's up almost 24% today, when Bitcoin was up about 6.7% on the day. So there's your answer right there.
You think it's 3?
I always say over the course of
get
time, it works out to be somewhere around a 3x
leverage.
That's right.
So if your miner that you're in didn't do a 3x today, should you be concerned?
No, because that's why I say over the course of time. On any given day, some of these are, up is down, down is up. And I'm going to show you a chart from last year because I think you got to look at bigger time frames. That's when you start to see this. Damien, thank you very much for the super chat. I just wanted to note that. Much appreciated. Welcome. So let's just quickly go look at something. Find it. Okay. This is last year. So this is what I'm saying. Over longer periods of time. So on any given day, Bitcoin could be up and your miner could be down, or vice versa. There's not a direct one-to-one correlation like that. But if you look at the year 2023, and there was a 14-week period in the middle of 2023, in late August, all of September, part of October, we had 14 weeks where the Bitcoin miners were down 30, 40, 50, 60%. So it looked like a disaster. But yet, by the end of the year, this is what 2023 looked like. So your big Bitcoin miners, Marathon, which is the largest, Marathon was up 587% in the year 2023. Riot, which was the second largest, and CleanSpark's now passed them, up 356%. CleanSpark, 441%. Iris Energy, 472. Cypher was up 638%. This one's kind of not fair. Core Scientific, which was in Chapter 11 and trading over the counter, it got down to 4 cents. It was up 1,800%. So, congratulations if you caught that run. I did not. But, that's almost an outlier. But even if you throw that one out, you'll see 400s, 500s, 600s when Bitcoin was up 154%. And that's from the first trading day of the year for the equity markets, because I like to compare Bitcoin, only on its trading days. So from the first trading day of the year for the equities to the last trading day of the year for the equities, Bitcoin was up 154% last year. It's now up. Going into today, it was up 230%. It's up. So let's go take a look, because it's now even significantly more than that. I'm going to go to the 1 week. So from November, this is when we kind of had a double bottom. The FTX situation happened in early November. We got down to around 15,500-ish. We revisited that, a few weeks later. We're now up 256% in essentially a 15-month window of time. I mean, that's a bull market. And the thing is, this isn't even the big part of the run. Not most of the time, every single previous Bitcoin cycle, the big, gigantic runs up in Bitcoin happen sometime 3 or 6 or 9 months after the halving. So we're still before the halving. That's why I said, in my opinion, we're way ahead of the game. I think there's a better than average chance that we're going to get to a new all-time high before the halving, which has never happened. We've never gotten anywhere near an all-time high before the halving. And we're already pretty close. I think we can get there. Even if we stopped right now, this would be by far the closest we've ever gotten. I do think we'll take out our all-time high. So, I think this is going to be a good cycle. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with what Bitcoin does in the next year and a half. That's my opinion. And you can see we're now over 250% to the upside here prior to the halving. Go back to the 1 day. And you can see this day stands out. This is, we had some sideways consolidation, and this is just a clear, obvious breakout. And like we talked about, there's no more lines of resistance in the middle. If I go to, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, if we look at the Fibonacci retracement, we got to 69,000. We got all the way down to 15,476. So, this 0.618 line, for those of you who follow, that's the most important line, according to the people who use the Fibonacci numbers. And then from 0.618 to 0.65, that's the golden pocket area that, tends to be, if you can break out above that. And you can see, Bitcoin just destroyed this. This is usually very strong resistance, and once we break through it, it becomes very strong support. On the 1 week, we went through this whole thing in one candle. In the next candle, you can see we almost perfectly retested this top area, this 0.65 line. And now, we've got another big green candle. There's only one more line before we have a full retracement back to our all-time high. That's the 0.786 line, which is, not as significant. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we bump into a little bit of resistance here, but I don't. So far, nothing. This has been a very strong run. All these lines of resistance that we've come across. And again, just to be clear, I'm not obsessed with this chart. I don't think this is a gigantic be all end all indicator. I do look at it because the thing is, a lot of traders look at this. A lot of algorithms use this. So it is worth at least understanding what's going on here. If you want to know more about this, a lot of you probably know a lot about this, but you'll see we're even through, this area. This is considered the breakout. Once we get above this 0.65, we have broken out. And it is clear at this point to me, this is just another indicator that we're in a very strong breakout right now. So I do expect momentum to continue upwards. And again, nothing's in a straight line. At any given moment in cryptocurrency, we could have a 10 or 20% pullback. You'll see the last time it happened, it was 12 days. We got 21% pullback in 12 days, and it represented a monstrous buying opportunity. What do you got? What are you looking at? Something good?
No, Riot's going down.
Oh, Riot's still going down after hours?
Yeah.
So that will be interesting to see. After these gigantic green days, sometimes we will have a little bit of pullback. So for those of you waiting, dollar cost averaging in or looking for a window to get into these things, if you're just starting, sometimes you wait for red days. I don't root. I always want to be crystal clear. I never root for a red day, but when they happen, when pullbacks happen, it's when I do most of my buying. So, the reason that my positions are as big as they are all the red days, all the down days that we had. And just to revisit, I think I showed you guys on the last live stream, but for those of you that are new, let me do that on this 15-minute. If I go, if I take CleanSpark, for example, which is now over $20. We had from September of 2022, and really, there was some points before that, really all the way back to June of 2022, this was under $5. It got under $2. So, it's still in November of 2023, this was hanging around in the $3 area. So, that's 15 months of dollar cost averaging in at $2, $3, $4 a share. So, if you're able to build out, I got a lot more shares than I ever imagined that I would get. And it was because it was painful, right? These areas are awful. I don't want this again, but, when they happen, if you take advantage of them, later on, right? This thing is up, from its lows. So CleanSpark's up over 1,000% in the last 14 months. So that's a 10x right there. So a lot of times when you look at these companies, we say, can they 5x? Can they 10x? Can they 20x? By the way, Marathon, Riot, they 40, 50, 60 x'd in the last bull market. Now, I don't know that we're going to get any 50 x's this time around, but this is already at 10, and counting, because in my opinion, we're going a lot higher than this. So, time will tell and we shall see. And again, it may not be in a straight line, but I don't think we're done, even with CleanSpark, which has just run dramatically. So let me put this the other way. I updated this through today's activity. So if we look at, let me find that tab, year to date, including today. This is every Bitcoin miner. So just to put in perspective how far ahead CleanSpark is than the rest of the group, there's only 3 Bitcoin miners that are even green on the year. And like we talked about, Marathon's up 25% on the year. And again, they're up over 20% today. Bitfarms was up 20% today. They're up 24% on the year. Well, and I apologize. These two should be green as well. They were red yesterday. So we now have Riot up 12% on the year, DMG up 7% on the year. Cleanspark's up 86% on the year. So Bitcoin is up 30% on the year, including, that's through the close. So that's where it was at 4 p.m. today. Look at all these other Bitcoin mining companies. So if one of your favorite companies is down here, Core Scientific's down 39%. Moss and, these are a lot of these are nano cap and micro cap stocks. So, the volatility is even greater for those. So Moss and Gree, Argo Blockchain, Stronghold, Hut, Any. I'm actually concerned about some of those companies. That's just me personally. I'm not sure that those are necessarily the best investments long-term, but even if they're not good long-term investments, in the short term, when things run, these may have gigantic fast moves to the upside, even if ultimately they're not going to do well. But, if you're an Iris Energy fan, IREN, they're still down 3% year to date. So they're in the red. CleanSpark's up 86%. Iris Energy's down 3%. Hive's down 6%. TerraWolf is down 2%. So, there's opportunities. And again, if you're a fan, Cypher's down 17%. I happen to think Cypher's a good company that's positioned themselves to do well in this run. I don't even own any Cypher, but maybe that's where I go next. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just saying that's why I try to show all these different charts. They do show different things. And, it is important to understand if you're going to buy the next share of CleanSpark, and you still may want to buy the next share of CleanSpark. It's up 86%. It's up triple the next closest thing in the last basically 7 or 8 weeks. So it's been on a tear. Not saying it's overvalued.
Tom,
yep.
Is this as of the close of today?
This is literally as of the close today. Yes. So this is where everything closed today. So, and you can see it took today, Riot, and that's why these two actually flipped, and I didn't change their color, but Riot and DMG, those were in the red yesterday. So, those flipped to green today. So I need to fix that on the chart. But this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bitcoin miners that are even above 0 year to date. So even, when you talk about do you like Riot or CleanSpark, CleanSpark's up 86%, Riot's up 12%. And, in the process, it's at one point a year ago, Riot was maybe 1/3 or 1/4. Actually, at one point, just a little over a year ago, I think CleanSpark was about 1/6 the market cap of Riot. It's now has a bigger market cap than Riot. So some of that is price, some of that is dilution, right? CleanSpark's had to issue a lot of shares to get where they're going, but you can see it's not just the additional shares. Their stock price is up dramatically. So all of these companies have a combination of the amount of shares they've issued, right? Because these are the Bitcoin miners are they need to raise capital, and their way to raise capital is through equity. So you're going to see these companies continue to raise capital. In my opinion, what you have to hope for is they do so, very strategically at the right time to buy the right things and, at the right price. Some of that isn't 100% in their control, but you want them to be as diligent as they possibly can while raising money to, reinvest in growth, because, they're keeping up. They've got to keep up with, an ever-growing difficulty level, right? We're at 81 trillion difficulty level. So 81 trillion, that sounds like a meaningless number, but just to put it in perspective, call it 81. If I go back a year in time, if I go back to the beginning of January 2023, so again, that's 14 months ago. This was at 34. So 68 would be 100% increase in the difficulty to mine a block of Bitcoin, Well, we're way past that. We're at 81. So these companies have to deal with that. In addition to that, in whatever it is, 50 days, the reward's going to get cut in half. So not only is it 2.5 times more difficult to mine a block, you're going to get half the reward for mining it. Now, the math won't work out quite that way because the fees are still the fees, and that's a little bit of a mitigating factor. But essentially, these companies are working on trying to make sure they've double, triple, quadruple their hash rate to try to keep up with this. Now, on the flip side of that, this is a part of the, decreasing supply that comes on chain. When there's half the reward, there's half the new supply. So you hope that, as in previous cycles, ultimately over a 3, 6, 9, 12-month window of time, the price of Bitcoin goes up to compensate for this increase in difficulty level. And we've already seen, the price of Bitcoin's up over 200%. So some of this increase in difficulty level is offset by the increase in Bitcoin price. But, when Bitcoin was at $15,500, these Bitcoin miners were turning machines off. It was crypto winter was brutal and ugly. I want to take just 1 second and thank Ryan. Ryan, thank you very much for the super chat. Can you talk about HUT 8, please? I will talk about HUT 8. I will tell you, and I've talked a bunch about this to the point where some of the members get sick of me talking about it. For me, I am concerned about HUT 8. Obviously, they had a merger of equals, if you will. They had a short report come out that really decimated the stock. I don't always put a lot of weight on short reports, so I wanted to really give them some time and see what it was that management, forget about what, the short report said. What's management doing? What's this company doing? My concern is, since that short report, they've had a change at the top, right? They have a new CEO, which to me, the timing of which was not great. This company just merged, right? So they just created a management structure. And basically the first thing they went out and did was change that management structure. So, okay, I don't know, maybe that's going to be a great thing for them in the long term. It is a red flag, in my opinion. The second piece of this puzzle, and I have been adamant about this for months and months and months. I have been waiting for HUT 8 to come out. My thing was, I thought they needed to make a big announcement prior to the halving on, like a lot of the other Bitcoin miners did. For instance, CleanSpark, Iris Energy, Bitfarms, Marathon, Cypher, TerraWolf. They all made big announcements, big purchase orders of Bitcoin mining machines. They talked about how they were going to grow their infrastructure, greatly increase their exahash rate. All of the companies I just mentioned got those machines at what I consider fantastic prices. Some were $14, $15, $16 per terahash, which is pennies on the dollar for where all these companies were buying machines in the last bull market. So now is the time. The price was right. The time is right. But at this point, we're now, we're many, many months after this merger, right? December, January, February, we're pretty close to 90 days after the merger, and it's radio silence. They put out, it's not radio silence. They put out a multitude of press releases, none of which have talked about adding additional exahash. So to me, this is, now you have to decide, are all these other things they're doing, a lot of fiat revenue streams and other things, is that the direction this company is going in? Are we still waiting and hoping they're going to increase their exahash? Because I will tell you, their peers, which would be, in my opinion, Bitfarms and Hive. Bitfarms and Hive basically went out, bought new machines to pretty much replace the vast majority of their fleet. Because, much like HUT, these are older companies. These companies have been around long enough that their fleets are aged and they need to be updated. So I don't see anything coming out of HUT as to, they have 7.2 exahash, including their merger. They picked up some exahash, but we know those are not the new latest and greatest machines. and I have not seen any announcement on them buying any new machines. So to me, the Bitcoin mining portion of what HUT is doing, I have a big giant question mark next to. So to me, that's not one of the ones that I have a high conviction in at this point. If things change, if they come out and make an announcement, if, and some of you may have a totally different investment thesis for this, but I look at all these companies. I'm glad to see a lot of these companies have other revenue streams, fiat revenue streams, particularly during the crypto winter. That may help add some cash to the equation when cash is hard to come by. But we are now, we're now at the time where it's time to mine Bitcoin. And I'm just not sure what they're doing. So, not financial advice, right? I don't know what's right or wrong, but for me, the things that I was looking for them to do and what I was hoping they would do, and I thought that they would do, so far they haven't done. They may put out a press release tomorrow that, changes that direction. But to me right now, those are my thoughts on HUT 8. I would love to see them succeed, and maybe they will. And, maybe they're in high performance computing, they're in hosting, they're in infrastructure, they're doing a lot of other things, but I don't see, the core, all of these companies on the list that we look at. We follow 19 companies. These are Bitcoin mining companies. The other things they do, to me, are secondary, and that doesn't mean they're irrelevant, but they're secondary from my perspective for my investment thesis.
I was just reading about Riot and what was going on.
Edmund saying, oh, sorry. Edmund saying
you're fine.
We're in the crypto summer with the fall coming in another 3 to 5 months. So if we're in the crypto summer, I mean, to me, we must be at the beginning of the summer, because I still think there's, from now until, right, let's take the last halving. That was in May of 2020. We peaked in November of 2021. So now we also kind of double topped, and the first one was more in April. So, it was a little bit less than 1 year to the first peak. And then another 6 months-ish later, we went even higher. So somewhere between 10 and 18 months after the halving have been the new all-time highs in all of the previous cycles. That doesn't mean that that's a certainty that that's what's going to happen this time, right? We don't know. There's a lot of new things going on with Bitcoin. Like I said, we're running way out a lot faster this time. So maybe we get to the peak faster, or maybe the bull market lasts longer than it has in the past. I think that's possible.
I don't know. I don't think that anything really has changed with Riot. I just think they were just recirculating something that was released in August regarding the share. But what scared people was about them talking about their uptime with the energy in Texas and regulatory problems for them.
I mean, to me, Riot,
Dude, they gotta get their act together. I mean, they're just a bunch of stoners or something over there, I think. I don't know. That's just surmising.
I think one of the things with Riot is they have their hands full more so than any other Bitcoin mining company. The
management of their hosting,
the amount, forget the hosting piece, which I will never understand. I hope it ends sooner than later. The amount of infrastructure they're building, right? They have a 700 megawatt facility that they own, and they have a 1 gigawatt facility that they're building. This puts them, from an infrastructure standpoint, way ahead of everybody else. It just does. There are others that are building some big facilities. They're, from a time frame, they're behind Riot. So in that one regard, Riot's way ahead of everybody else. But then you ask yourself, okay, but what are they doing with it? Because they're not mining a lot of Bitcoin. So I think a part of the reason they're not mining Bitcoin is, they've got this other gigantic task of, George, you having spent a career in construction, understand
Yeah.
the monumental undertaking it is for them and the amount of resource, time, effort, energy of resources from the whole company, including, management and the C-suite that are spending time getting this infrastructure in place. And I just wonder if in the short term, if a part of the cost of that is that they're not keeping up with their, operationally their Bitcoin mining.
Well, and then they cited chip problems too. And I can't imagine why would they have chip problems when nobody else is citing chip problems. I mean, look at what CleanSpark just did.
Right. I agree.
I mean, why can they do it and then Riot cannot?
That's the reason that CleanSpark is off to the races
Right.
and has passed. It's not close. They've passed. These numbers aren't going to be right, but I'll look at them anyway.
Just I did buy some though.
Bought some Riot?
Yeah,
Or-
I did.
I
Because it
think
doesn't make any sense why they would go down.
I think there's a lot of room to the
Yeah.
upside for Riot. CleanSpark's now over $4 billion, and I need to double check. As all these companies release their information, I'm not sure how fast Yahoo and other sites are, and I haven't double checked against the latest and greatest financials, some of which just came out. But, if you look at these numbers, CleanSpark's now a $4 billion company. This was, I have a chart of this. I'll see if I can find it. But, this was way, way, way less than a $1 billion company 1 year ago. And now it's a $4 billion company. And, if we go to Riot, according to this, it's a $3.5 billion company. Now, what I need to look at to double check these numbers is in the footnotes, both of these companies issued shares after the end of the year. So I just want to make sure these are the latest and greatest numbers, and that may change. But in any event, you can see whether they've passed them or they're in the same neighborhood. Riot used to be so many multiples bigger than CleanSpark, and now here they are. It looks like CleanSpark now has a larger market cap. And from a price action standpoint, if you're a shareholder, right, CleanSpark, I just showed you, it was down under, at one point it was under $2. It hung around between $3 and $4 forever. Riot did get down to $5.16, but that was around the time that CleanSpark got down to like $1.74. So this was a much bigger share price. So if you're, if you own a share of stock, that's what, in the end, that's what you care about. The market cap, you don't make any money as a shareholder because market cap's getting bigger. You make money because the share price is going up. So, CleanSpark's share price has just drastically, we looked at this. I'll revisit it for those who weren't here at the time. Since January 1st. Yep.
I got to give you my 2 cents on Riot too, by the way. This, as a builder, I love to say this.
Yeah, please.
And this is why you don't go with the cheapest cost. This is why you don't go and bid shit out. Sorry for all the young people. But this is why you don't do that. You don't keep driving the cost of things down, because now you're not going to achieve what you wanted to achieve before the halving. And you know how much it's going to cost you? I mean, it's just, it's endless, the cost. And we spoke to Jason about this how many months ago, Tom? 8 months ago?
Probably the better part
talking about freaking building G, and that's enough, and then here we are today still talking about the same thing.
Right.
I don't accept a chip shortage problem. That's a BS answer to cover up what is going on over at Riot. I'm sorry. Why would you go and build, why would you go and build an infrastructure like that when you already have a problem with power?
Problem with power in that they're
in the state. In the state, there's a problem with the power in the state because of their green technology.
I think the answer to that question is that state is looking for more infrastructure, and from Riot's perspective, they're looking to get, they get these big energy credits. So, their next facility is even bigger than this facility. They got $71 million in energy credits in 2023. That was by far their all-time record, and they're about to have more than double the infrastructure. So, if they get 150 or 200 million dollars in energy credits, I know people would rather have them mining Bitcoin, and I understand that. And I'm the one who just said, I want my Bitcoin miners mining Bitcoin first.
Right.
But, 150 or 200 million dollars of energy credits cannot be dismissed. All these other companies that have these ancillary lines of revenue are just tiny, tiny fractions of that.
No, but it still comes to the point that they're just not executing a plan. And at what point in time do you say, oh, well, they're just not going to make it? I mean, I know the company's going to make it, but they're just not going to achieve the plans. I know CleanSpark, they had so much information. They gave us so much information when they didn't make it by the end of the year, and they were pissed. You know what I mean? And they regrouped and they gave a lot of information of what was going on, very specific information, Tom. And Riot just doesn't do that.
Transparency you're talking about, and
Yeah.
you're right, and that is key because that's a great example. Really, CleanSpark was talking about getting to 16 exahash by December 31st, 2023. They did not get there, and we don't begrudge them that for the reason you just said. Number one, they kept us up to date. The second they knew they weren't going to hit that goal, they let us know. They, and they got there within a reasonable time, 45 days later. Now, they're at 14 exahash, not 16 exahash, but they also let us know the reason for the difference, and they will get to 16. But, to get from 10 exahash to 14 exahash in a month and a half, that's 40% growth. People are very happy with that. And to your point, that's more growth. Riot, for instance, spent the entire year last year talking about 12.4 exahash. And I say talking about because for most of the year, like you said, they had some damage done to some of their buildings, and they actually weren't even at the 12.4 that they said they would be at. Now, if in 2024, they're talking about ending the year at 28 exahash. So if they get from 12 first to 20 and then to 28 in 2024, then we're going to see what happens to their stock. And we need to see what happens to their production, because 28 exahash of Bitcoin mining that's not mining Bitcoin, obviously, they ran into a little bit of that this year with the, lack of efficiency, if you will.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I think we're going to make a thing for these companies to let them know that we can dry them out and get them back up and running again. Because it's just crazy to think that Riot here, you know what I mean? It's just, I've lost a lot out of everything going on. I'm still just down so much money on Riot. Everything else, forget it. I've crushed it, and it's just that's what pisses me off.
I'm in the same position. Riot's my worst performing stock out of all the Bitcoin miners. So, but I am being patient with Riot because I do see them. They're building out their infrastructure. They've locked down.
They're building it out. I think that's going to be a broken record. Sorry.
Yes, but well, we're going to get some real quantifiable deadlines here. They said they're going to get to 20 and then 20 exahash by the halfway mark of the year and 28 exahash by the end of the year. So, if we're in May and we're talking about 12.4 exahash, then that's going to be a different story. But
and I have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
If that happens, then, they'll probably, their stock's going to be, lagging.
Story. Yeah.
It's lagging. It's lagging behind. It's up 17% today. So, on the great days, it participates, but we just saw it's lagging behind.
They need to hire Sue.
Perhaps.
I'm serious. When do you think Sue is leaving?
I don't know that she will leave. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
What?
You don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know what those guys are doing. She's on the inside. She sees what's going on. If they've got, that, to your point, the transparency, I don't see what their plan is. So, and they've told us some stuff, but I still don't get it.
Why wouldn't, even if they weren't going to buy, why wouldn't they say, hey, we're thinking about buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin miners?
They kind of said the opposite.
I know.
So I I don't know. I don't know. Let's just put it this way. They're not, I kind of went through my top 5 on last Friday's live stream and they weren't in it. So,
David O'Brien, short-term headwinds. The turtle wins the race. Be patient. I'll leave it at that. Am I too turtle for you? Was it? Am I too turtly
am
for
I
you?
not
Turtle,
am I
turtle, turtle. Remember? David Spade, by the way.
am I not
Turtle.
it's Dana Carvey and
Carvey. Yeah. Spade, Carvey.
am I not
All
turtly
those
enough
white
for
guys
your
look the
turtle
same.
club?
All those white guys look the same.
The Master of Disguise. I'm not recommending the movie, to be perfectly clear. May not have been.
Turtle. I thought it was the stupidest movie ever.
I just said I'm not recommending the movie.
Look at, Minor Doc Sue won't make it past January 2025.
So still almost a year. I'm going to be fascinated to see.
Turtle.
We've got a lot of news coming out on the Bitcoin miners over the course of the next, between now and I'm going to say between now and June 30th, the picture is going to get a lot more clear on some of these Bitcoin miners. And I will say, I don't think I've said this yet today, and I usually have said it 100 times by now. I do think there will be winners and losers. This is not going to be like the previous Bitcoin bull cycle back in 2021 where all the Bitcoin miners just went to the moon. I don't think that's going to happen. I think some of these Bitcoin miners have already had to change their business model so dramatically based on cash flow constraints and debt that was in they were in default of. A lot of these companies are just a shell of the company they once were. So I do think they will struggle into and after the halving. But I do think, for those that don't win, I think there's, a bunch that, are going to take the giant run. Again, the winners, I think, are going to be big winners. The question is it 5, 6, 7, 8? I don't know the answer to that. I have 4 that I have a super high level of conviction in. I have about 3 past that I think are going to be winners. I have a bunch in the middle I'm not sure about, and then like 6 that I'm concerned about.
When will you feel very confident about releasing stuff like that?
Well, for the members only, I talked about my bottom 6, and I don't want to spread FUD about companies, and
for
so
$5, you would know that.
Yes,
people might want to think about joining.
If you're interested in joining, it's only our membership's only $5, and you can hit the right next to the subscribe button on YouTube. There's a join button, so we welcome. First of all, thank you to all of our existing members.
300 people, just so you guys know.
Much appreciated. Fantastic group. And yeah, if you're interested, we have a bunch. We have 7 or 8 over the last 3 months. We have 7 or 8 deep dives on some Bitcoin miners that, are those smaller Bitcoin miners that, the whole world doesn't have enough interest in to put a video out, but we've got videos out on those for the members, and my bottom 6 list, if you will, of the ones that I'm concerned about. So,
Tom.
Yes.
Let's be honest here.
Well, I think we always try to do that.
Marathon, good buy or bad buy?
I think Marathon's going to be one of the big winners. That is one of my 4 very high conviction plays. I think Marathon's going to be a big winner. I think it's going to take out its previous all-time high.
What was its previous all-time high?
I think it was $83.49 or something like that. So I think, I've seen a lot of people with higher price targets than me. I think it'll take that out, to say it's going to get to 100. I think that's, there's every chance that it can do that. It's at 30 right now. That's more than a triple for, for the largest market cap out of all these companies. To pull a triple from here is a big win. Sometimes, I don't want to get too greedy. Pulling a double or a triple or a quadruple, these are gigantic wins. Not, most of your portfolios probably aren't doing that in, with the rest of your stocks, unless you're ultra high risk. And then, you probably have some that are getting decimated as well. let's just look at Riot Clean Marathon for a minute. So this was their high in December of 2023. They got over $30 twice. They're at $29 right now, so they're knocking on the door. I thought they would get there today, but they were up over 21% today, almost 22%. So, it's not like they had a bad day. It was a fantastic day. Let me take a break from this for just 1 minute. Bull Trader, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Bull Trader said, gentlemen who hold most Bitcoin, answer Marathon. Who's most likely to survive? Marathon. Earnings on Wednesday? Marathon. I say they blow out expectations, will get a considerable pop, just like CleanSpark. So that very well could be true, right? They're going to have a gigantic one-time pickup from switching accounting methods.
That's this one?
It's their year end, so I assume they will be switching to the new accounting method, and they're going to get to mark all these Bitcoin to market as of December 31st. And I don't know what that number is, and just off the top of my head, I feel like it's probably going to be like a $350 million pickup for them. So that's a dramatic number. But what's more important than that, Marathon so they mine the most Bitcoin every month. I'll add to that, Bull Trader, they have the most Bitcoin on their balance sheet by far. So this one-time markup they're going to get is going to be multiples of what everybody else has done. Remember, Riot had a $184 million pickup, and Marathon has twice as much Bitcoin as they do. So that's why I'm saying I think it'll be 350. Maybe it's going to be more than that. I don't know. So... but it'll be some gigantic number. But what's equally important is as Bitcoin continues to run up, which I believe it's going to do for the next 12 to 18 months, with the new accounting policy, they're going to get to mark that to market each quarter. So, if Bitcoin's at $75,000, at the next time they report, they're going to get to pick up for the 15,000 Bitcoin they have on their balance sheet. They're going to get to pick up that $20,000 or $25,000 per Bitcoin the next quarter. And that's all a part of operating income from this time forward. So, and I'm going to show you something else, because I did do a video on Marathon this week. They had a period this month where they were struggling big time. Their January production, let me sidetrack for 1 minute if you don't mind. They had the greatest month of all time in December, 1,853 Bitcoin mined. That was number one by a mile. That's the best month of any Bitcoin miner for all of 2023. It would have been the best in 2022. It would have been the best in 2021. Nobody's going to do that in 2024 or 2025, in my opinion. Time will tell, but remember, the reward's about to get cut in half. So I think this was an anomaly. They had a lot of things go their way. The Bitcoin mining fees were way up. So for a lot of reasons, they had the greatest month of all time in December. January, they had a big drop off. All the Bitcoin miners had a drop off. Marathon dropped off 42%, but that still left them in first place out of all the Bitcoin miners. So even with a 42% drop off, they still mined the most Bitcoin in the month of January. To me, it looked like they were in danger of Core Scientific passing them in the month of February. They were having a very tough February. I made a video about it, but I want to show you guys something. To be fair, to follow up on that, right after I made that video, right after they had 5 or 6 days of mining very little Bitcoin, much less than they should have been. Let me find this, because dramatic turnaround. So if we go to the 25th, right? They were having days where they mined 1 Bitcoin, 1 block or 2 blocks, day after day after day. And there was a reason for that, which I went through. If you want to know what the reasons are, I did do a deep dive. I don't want to bore everybody with that. But coming right out of that, on the 25th, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 9 blocks on the 25th. on February 14th, the day before they had to shut a lot of their machines off, which was outside of their control for a short period of time, they mined 8 blocks on February 14th. That was their best day of the month. So you can see on the 25th, they mined 9 blocks. That beat that. And now we're on the 26th right now. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as of right now. So 9 yesterday, 7 today. It looks to me like they've righted the ship. So they're still not going to get back to where they were in December. I'm sorry, in January at 1,084. But this is a big, big comeback. Right. And it instills confidence that, as soon as, like I said, you can watch the deep dive. They had a specific reason outside of their control where they had some shutdowns. Applied Digital had to shut some of that they were hosting for the purposes of repairs and maintenance that was outside of their control as well. That's all done. Everything came back online, and they are now minting Bitcoin. So I'm very encouraged by these last several days. So, I made the video one way, so I just want to show the other way. Can you do any better? Thank you very much for the super chat. That is George. Up $200 right now from after hours purchase on Riot. Bitcoin to the moon.
I thought it would be a good one. I got to sneak out.
All right, George, we'll probably wrap it up shortly. This was an impromptu, so I'll just go through a few other things. Thanks so much for joining us, George. Have a great night.
Anybody. I'll be over in 10. See ya.
All right, see ya. All right, that was George, everybody. Oh, how do I do this? There we go. Let's see. I don't even know what best Bitcoin miner to hold into the halving, so I'll end this poll. So by a mile, CleanSpark 49%, just under half the people picked CleanSpark. Marathon in second place at 30%, Riot in third place at 13%, and then TerraWolf at 9%. So still, CleanSpark just popped up to 50%. So 222 votes. Thanks everybody for voting. So CleanSpark, everybody still has probably the best sentiment about CleanSpark. Marathon would appear to be second. And like I said, I mean, I'm very encouraged by this that I'm just seeing. I do actually, I agree with Bull Trader. Thanks again for the super chat, Bull Trader. I agree with that. I think, Marathon's got a lot of good stuff for it. And if you look at the chart, in my mind, they were at like 31 here. They were at 30 here. If they can jump above this line at 32, goes all the way back to March of 2023. So just about 1 year ago. I think if they can break out of this, they've got a big leg up coming. Now that I think assumes obviously that Bitcoin continues to run. So, that may be on pause until the next jump in Bitcoin, but I think there's a lot of room left in Marathon. And, they are announcing earnings next Wednesday. So you guys can be on the lookout for Marathon's announcing earnings next Wednesday. Riot already announced. CleanSpark already announced. We'll be getting the rest of these. Iris Energy did their 3 months and 6 months ended December 31st. So, we're going to be getting all of this information. The other thing is today's the 26th. It is leap year this year, so there's 3 days left in February. So next week, we're going to get a lot of operational reports. So I'm going to be very interested to see how these Bitcoin miners did, because you're going to see the last 2 adjustments in the difficulty level were big adjustments to the upside. 7% more difficult, 7.33%, and then 8.24% more difficult. So we're going to see. I just showed you the chart. Let's find that. Every single Bitcoin miner that I follow went down from December to January, and that was twofold. It was a part increase in the difficulty level, but December was the outlier. The Bitcoin mining fees went through the roof in December, so that did not happen in January. It did not happen in February. So I think all these companies are going to struggle to just even get back to their January numbers. So I will create a similar chart. Maybe I'll keep filling in this chart to show how we go month to month. And of course, each month I do a full monthly update of, Bitcoin mined, number of exahash, HODL, efficiency, all those things. So, over the next week and a half, we should get all of the February operational reports, and we can update that as well. So let's just go back and see. So we're going a little bit sideways, but we ran up to 54,600. So from where we closed on Friday to where we are right now, just under 7%. So very close to a 7% run up today. The question is going to be, can this hold overnight? And, can we continue this run tomorrow? So we're going to see, right? We were in a very tight range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically 12 days. So this is the second or third time we've had kind of this 12-day situation. We've had a big breakout today. If this can hold, I do think we could keep running between now and the halving, potentially all the way up to the previous all-time high. And that's by no means my price target for this cycle. But as always, very volatile. So today was a fantastic green day, green across the board. Almost every single Bitcoin miner was double digits. A lot of them were around 20% or over 20% moves to the upside today. So hopefully all you guys made some really, really good money today. So hopefully the other thing on days like today, I try to mentally put these days in the bank so that when we have the other days and we know that we're going to have some, and everything's red, we keep in perspective, there's more days like this ahead. This is not the last double digit across the board green day for the Bitcoin miners. So for me, whether you're taking those opportunities to opportunistically dollar cost average or buy the dip or whatever you're doing, red days are natural. So, and again, if we have a bad day somewhere in there, we'll jump together and do an impromptu live stream again, because I think it's really helpful. I appreciate everybody on these good days and on the bad days. I think it's really good to share our thoughts and what's going on. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining the extra live stream here. We're only one day into this trading week, and we've already had a breakout. So let's hope the rest of the week holds. Let's hope good things are ahead. I hope all you guys made a bunch of money today. So thanks so much, everybody. Enjoy your evening. And we will see you for the members. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the members only live stream. For everybody else, we do a live stream every Friday after the market closes for everybody. So you're welcome to join. If you're not a member, please consider subscribing to the channel. And on your way out, if you would be so kind as to smash the like button, it does help the live stream and it helps the channel. Thanks again, everybody. Congratulations for an awesome day in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners.